I've got one which I'd like to show you. It's about that long. And it's about
No. I've had a similar conversation with men before on this issue.
This is.
Tommy Boyd on BBC Southern Counties Radio.
Evening, Tommy Boyd and Allison Ferns. You there?
Evening, I am here.
There you are. Good.
Just about. I'm very well. Did you have a good Christmas?
Yes, thanks. It was absolutely bog standard, but then you like that, don't you? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, we said it was, we'd give you a Saturday night, so it's going to be whatever you want. It's going to be down the pub. It's going to be, roaming the streets, or shop doorway stuff, or whatever you want to.
Shop doorway? Do you mind?
When you're younger.
It's going to be like being sick in a shop doorway. Listen in on a Saturday night.
When you're younger, that's why there used to be that little sort of alcove bit at the co-op, I think, but in actual fact, everyone's too nice. We're not too nice, too afraid. Too afraid. Anyway, back to this. Have you heard of a programme that used to be on a radio station some years ago called The Human Zoo, which is a very interesting...
I have heard about that.
I thought it was terrible.
Well,
and I should know, because I was not only the host, but the creator of this...
you weren't, were you?
Gigantic, ludicrous...
I've heard a lot of abuse levelled against that show.
Oh, I'm at the front of the queue, mate, to hammer this show, I tell you. Have you come across those ships carrying nuclear waste?
No.
Well, you haven't come across them, but you've heard of them.
Not in my recent day-to-day life.
That is what this broadcasting vehicle reminded me of. Sort of dripping, rusting, filthy, lousy, useless, hole below the waterline, dangerous, gigantic things, capable of causing an unbelievable amount of harm and danger everywhere. And this was just, and that's what this radio programme was like. All I did was open the phone lines up, and anybody who wanted to come to air could come to air. Just total access.
Just anyone?
Yeah. For hours. And people loved it. Well, a certain type of person loved it. Young people loved it. How interesting is this call, right? How's that? That would be, and then you go to, let's see who's on line 4.
But the enjoyment is in not knowing what's going to come next.
Yeah, and people like that, and I like that. I think people liked, first of all, I mean, the number of calls were huge. There were more calls to this show than to sort of, if Jesus had it. I probably shouldn't say this, but Jesus.
Oh, can you not? I've got a really bad feeling over what you're going to say next. Don't say it.
If
Jesus had a phone-in.
No,
is that what you're going to say?
Well, we've had God doing the music.
If Jesus had a phone-in.
If Jesus had his own phone-in show.
Call me now.
What did we say earlier? He can nip out the back. Was it Stuyvesant or menthol we reckon he'd smoke? No.
I said he had the more cigarettes behind his ear. But anyway, let's not go
there for Rob.
If Jesus had a phone-in...
No, if Jesus was a guest on a phone-in programme. They probably wouldn't get as many calls to the switchboard as we used to get from the
Could you imagine if Jesus was a guest on a phone-in? And now, my next guest, the legendary...
the one and only. When they made him, they broke the mould.
Oh, don't. Oh, dear.
Anyway, so lots of people used to tune in, and I think tried to get through, I should say, to the Human Zoo, and one of the reasons that lots of people tried to get through is because it was simply a credential to go to work or to go to college or whatever on the Monday morning and say, yes, I got through, I did it. It didn't matter what you did, and most of it was rubbish. Really, really bad rubbish. But at the same time, some of it was quite moving and quite interesting and poignant. Occasionally something poignant would happen. Lozzie has emailed, Tommy, what on earth was your show about on Christmas Day? I expected to relax with a glass of sherry to hear something Christmassy, and instead you're talking about the size of sexual organs, and the woman with you is talking about some guy who sold penis extension kits. They put out the wrong show. It was a small bureaucratic error. I accept that discussion about penis extension kits
was perhaps not appropriate for Christmas night.
The size of one's organs. Quite frankly, I found it absolutely filthy and horrible for Christmas. Oh, it wasn't filthy, Lozzie.
It wasn't filthy.
Well, wake up.
You'll love this. This is a story I heard between Christmas and New Year while I was doing all my socialising. A friend of a friend has a son who suffers from Down syndrome. So he's about 14, but he's probably got a mental age of about 7. Took him over to Drusilla's at Alfriston. They looked around the zoo. He loved it. Anyway, they went into the gift shop, and you know how it is with kids. You take your eyes off for a second, they're gone. And he disappeared. No, they went and found him, and they found him, and he was dripping wet. They thought, what has gone on here? Anyway, he wasn't saying anything. They took him home. He was quiet as a mouse the whole journey home. They get home, he goes straight indoors, upstairs to his bedroom, closes the door, shut tight. Downstairs, think, what's gone on here? Bit worrying. They go upstairs to his bedroom. They walk in. There he is, sitting on his bed, with a penguin. Now tell me that doesn't surprise you.
What?
He'd taken a penguin.
What a load of old rubbish.
No, it's not.
You fall for those kind of stories.
It's a true story.
You fall for them, don't you?
It's a true story.
And you stand there,
managed. No.
and she comes round and tops up freshens your glass, and you're standing there nodding. And so at the end of it, when the bloke says, a penguin, you go, no! Come on, Ferns, you're a journalist.
No, it's true.
It's rubbish.
No,
It's
I believe
rubbish.
it. No,
Absolutely.
they had to.
Sad. Mary and Graham have emailed. These are the fish people.
Oh no.
She has problems with uppercase and lowercase. I suppose Bob Staunton has been sacked, and now that Pratt has got his hour back. I'm not complaining that Mr. Staunton has finally gone, but I'm saddened that Tommy Boyd has taken his hour. Replace one fool with another fool. This is Mary who wants... Well, she doesn't want Bob Staunton brought back, nor does she want us to be... Well, me to be here. She likes you, I expect.
Oh, I'll take the other hour then. Bob's got the night off tonight, by the way, Mary. I don't know how he managed to wangle that, because we tried, didn't we? I don't want to work New Year's Day.
Yes, there's another... I love people who email anonymously, right?
Okay.
Because when you say they're so stupid, because when you email somebody, it sends
Your
you...
names and the email address.
Yes. So, Lynn McPherson, that's M with a small C
no,
and then a big P.
Don't.
So Lydia McPherson, okay? Next time you email and you sign it anon, okay? Just remember, I'm not going to read the email out, because it's rude. Just remember that how much your point is diminished by the stupidity of thinking that you can email anonymously. All right, Pet. Tommy.boyd@bbc.co.uk. Mrs. Margaret Richardson has emailed to complain about you, Pat.
Oh, go on
I find
then,
it
Margie.
absolutely offensive that Allison is telling jokes about people with Down syndrome on the wireless. Please issue an apology to the listening audience.
It's not a joke. It's
Of course
a true
not a joke.
story.
Well, it's a story.
Well, it's a
which
story that I believe to be true.
You were told in good faith.
Yeah.
And you passed on because you believed that it is true and that it would surprise me. It's not a joke. Margaret,
Not a joke at all.
If you think that is a joke, Margaret, you must laugh a lot. Because you must
And
be
the
hearing
fact
so
that
many
he's Down
jokes.
syndrome doesn't really have anything to do with it. I just put that in because that was factual part
I
of the
sense you're
story.
slightly getting on the back foot there. Don't even start to defend
Well,
yourself
no, I
against
won't.
these sorts
I
of
just get annoyed.
so-called listeners.
By Margaret Richardson.
Yeah, don't even start.
No, I
to
won't.
think in terms of, but all I said was. Okay?
No,
That's
I'm
my
not going
first tip.
I'm not going
How
to.
to get sacked.
Yeah. My
Do not.
first tip.
Yeah, I've got
My
plenty.
second tip.
Yeah, oh yeah. But the first, do not ever think in terms of, but I never said that, or
No.
what I meant was, no.
No.
No, because she hasn't got it.
No.
You're reporting something that somebody said to you.
Yeah.
And that is why you're a good journalist.
Anyway, I'm not letting Margaret get to me.
Well, I think that we should do some things on the show that will offend the 0.5% of the audience who like to be offended. I don't know how we do that. Maybe we just carry on.
Maybe at the moment we're offending 15%. 0.5 would be a bonus.
Oh, I go for about 10%, maybe. Any more than that. And Margaret Richardson has emailed now twice.
Oh, come on, Maggie.
Just to let you know that I have called your show a few weeks ago and I'm a regular contributor to the Southern Counties shows. And what you got? Be very careful who you try to offend. I find the insinuation that you intend to offend the loyal listeners offensive in itself. Huh? Yeah? What, you find the intention that Margaret.
The intention that you intend.
Margaret finds the intention that I intend to be offensive. Then, ding! Come on, Margaret, play the game. You know what the game is. As for Allison's Down syndrome, I retract the comment if you apologise for it before you ridicule my complaint.
Too late, Maggie.
Remember, the customer is always right. But you're not a customer, Margaret. You haven't paid anything.
Well...
If you send us £5, then you'll be right. Well, I don't know what you'll get. Shall we sell her something, and then she is the customer, and then she's right. But at the moment, Margaret, you're a listener. And the listener is usually wrong. Okay? Sorry, I've just taken some emails. If you were listening about 10 or 15 minutes ago, you'll know that I got an email from a Mary Croft, but people don't understand when they send in emails that whatever you put on your email... You see, when you send an email... Alison's back. Hello.
Hello.
When you send an email... I think there are a lot of people who don't know what their email looks like when it gets to the other end.
No, they don't realise that their name is emblazoned across the whole email address.
When you set up an email account to enable you to send emails, you are asked how you want yourself to be listed when it says from, you see. So Graham and Mary Croft decided, when they set up their email account in 1847, that it should read Graham with an A-E, like Graham Souness, and Mary Croft.
Right.
But Mary has been signing her emails Mary Croft, Winchester. But I, of course, see on the screen here in front of me now, email message from Graham and Mary Croft. And this one says, I'm in shock. Can I read this out to you?
Go on, do it.
She sent it. I assume she means it to be read. How on earth did you know my husband's name?
Oh, dear.
She probably thinks that I'm some kind of Yuri Geller. I'm getting
You're
a Graham.
magic.
Is there any... I am.
Yes.
Is there anybody here? The name Graham. I'm getting the name Graham. Does that mean anything to anybody here? Can I read you the rest of the email?
Go on.
How on earth did you know my husband Graham's name? He is a
Husband Graham's name. She didn't write that.
How on earth did you know my husband Graham's name?
Yeah.
He is a miserable little man like you.
Full of New Year cheer then, Mary. Let's take another call, I'm thinking.
Yes. How do I do that?
Let me do this.
No.
Okay, press the red flashing light.
Yep,
and then press that blue thing.
There.
Oh no, press the one next to it.
This one. Okay. Good evening. You might well be on BBC Southern Counties Radio. Hello?
Hi, Tommy. It's Kevin in Guildford.
Hello, Kevin.
Hi. Just wanted to say what a great show as usual.
You're very kind. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I always listen every week.
I'm very glad to hear it.
Yep. These people, they should get the joke, really, shouldn't they?
Wow, I don't mind tweaking a few tales
Yeah, it's great
on a
fun.
Saturday night after all.
I
Saturday.
enjoy it. I love it.
You're very kind. Thank you for that, Kevin.
That's okay.
Appreciate it. Anyway, so Mary Croft has emailed, how on earth did you know my husband Graham's name? Because it's on your email account, Mary. He is a miserable little man like you, and I am glad to have got shot of him. But how did you know his name? Are Southern Counties tracing email accounts invading privacy? Oh... No, Mary. Mary, it's on your email address, mate. Whenever you send anybody an email, Mary, it says from Graham and Mary Croft. Okay. I'll tell you what I was going to mention to Allison this evening, and it's this. I went into the living room about 3 or 4 times over the Christmas period, and the television was on, and the sound of music was on. Do you like the sound of music?
Oh, I love it.
Oh, for God's sake. Well, this
girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes, snowflakes that fall on my nose and eyelashes. Oh, I love it. Don't even get me started. No, that's Annie.
I know.
Get your musicals right, pal.
Sort of thing.
You are 16, going on 17. You think that I'm naive. Fellas, I may tell me I'm sweet. I look at your face. Oh, shut up.
It is such a dreadful film in every respect. Beethoven, Brahms, Schubert, to the best of my knowledge, Strauss for most of the time, Mozart, and Mahler. And these are the men of Austrian music. And what is Austria best known for, however, thanks to Hollywood? Go, a dear, a female dear, right, a drop of golden sun, me a name I call myself, for a long, long way to run, so a needle pulling thread, nor a note to follow, so, because we couldn't think of anything else, tea I drink with jam and bread, that will bring us back to do. Do you see my point there? No, shut up.
Female
I'll come round there and I will club you.
A drop
I will.
Of golden sun.
I'm not a violent man, yes you are.
A name
Alison,
I call
I'm
myself.
serious. Shut it.
Far.
Seriously.
A long, long way to run. So, needle pulling thread. Go on then.
Seriously.
And
Seriously.
to follow, so come and hit me. Tea I drink with jam and bread.
Have you ever been spanked?
I've got a feeling it could happen tonight.
Well, it might. Now stop it.
Can we just say though,
Yes, go on.
can you, Tommy, never just enjoy something just for sheer enjoyment's sake?
God, yes. Oh, God, are you kidding me?
Apart from porn.
The film critic Pauline Kael was fired from one of her first jobs for not liking the sound of music. Watch it, Tom. Damn. Okay.
It's quite threatening, really.
Okay. I mean, you know, you can look down at your own hands. Go on, do that now. Look down at your own hands. I'm looking down at my hands. But I'm looking down at my hands from within the perspective of being inside the thing that's looking down at its own hands. And sometimes they don't even seem to be mine. They're something else's. But I'm inside it and I'm driving it a bit like a crane driver. Do you ever feel like a crane driver inside your own body?
Well, I've been a crane driver.
Well, in that case, it must be an even richer experience for you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I mean...
So that's what I think, that's one of the things I think about life. That it's ludicrous to be locked inside this bag of skin. Unable to get out. Can't get out. Can't make proper communication with anybody else. Because our only reality is with our thoughts, and it's the one thing we can't communicate. We can communicate with our fists, and we can communicate with our mouths. We can communicate with our faces. But the one thing that is our reality, which is our thoughts, we can't communicate. So we never actually know what it's like to be somebody else.
Well,
So it's lonely.
That's right.
And it's ridiculous.
But I mean, going back to...
But there is good food, wine, and sex. And love.
It depends which county you're in.
Dear Tommy Boyds Show, this email has come in from Mrs. Margaret Richardson. Although she signed it yours, Mrs. H. Moore.
Is she being cunning?
This is...
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
No.
Oh, what can you do,
I
Alison?
think I know.
Shall I read all this, Nick? Okay.
Oh, dear.
According to the information that comes automatically packaged with this email, it is from Mrs. Margaret Richardson.
Yeah.
From Mrs. Margaret Richardson.
Yeah.
And it says, Dear Tommy Boyds Show, I would like to agree with everything Mrs. Richardson said tonight about the offensive nature of your show, signed Mrs. Moore.
Oh, dear. Go, a deer, a female deer, ray, a drop of golden sun. You just sing.
Now,
And that's the lovely thing about the sound of music. You can always just sing.
Vince Collier has emailed to say, Hi Tommy, I've tried to disguise this email by adding my real name, but can you still tell that it's anonymous? Great show, thanks, Vince Collier, Middlewich in Cheshire. And Kitty has emailed, Tommy, sounds like you're making a lot of enemies tonight. Love it. Thank you, Kitty. Mrs. Margaret Richardson has emailed again.
Oh dear.
This is the lady who emailed and appeared to email saying that she was somebody else and that she entirely agreed with herself.
Yeah.
Shall I read her email?
Go on. Be careful, but go on.
The lady emailing before me wasn't me, you are mistaken, she says.
Is that it?
Oh, I'm not going to go on because she's got herself in a tears. Don't worry about it, mate, Margaret, listening. There's just a bit of fun, as Bob Staunton would say. There's just a bit of fun.
Sweet.
Have you ever heard anybody who can speak Klingon? The Star Trek aliens language.
What, there is a proper language?
Oh, apparently, yes. Back to Star Trek, because Star Trek's given us some quite decent nonsense over the last few weeks. Have you seen the state of the internet and our programme on Star Trek? It's stirred up a few people. There's quite a lot of people in America who are really, really cross about us, and one lot threatening legal action because I said that Star Trek was possibly slightly racist.
Right.
Possibly. Yeah. That's all I said, isn't it? Oh, okay. I said it was owned by the Ku Klux Klan.
No. You didn't actually ever say that.
No. I was just.
No, you never said it was owned by them.
Starting things up a little bit there.
Yeah. Can we just clarify that again? You never said that.
No.
Good.
All I said was it was amusing that there were so many K's in Star Trek, just like there were supposed to be so many K's on a certain packet of cigarette.
A coincidence.
Which urban myth has it is owned by the KKK, but of course it's not.
No.
However, the company that put the money into the first Star Treks were the same companies that also make this particular cigarette. So there's a
Just
kind
so
of
happened to be.
there's a tenuous link there, and it's the stuff of which urban myths are made.
Of course.
It's nonsense.
No.
But all I've said to Star Trek fans, and I mean literally around the world, because we've had a huge internet audience for this.
They do like the internet, don't they, Star Trek fans?
Yes, they like sitting up in their bedrooms all by themselves.
They do.
Yeah.
Again, a coincidence.
Yes. What?
Not implying anything by that whatsoever.
I've got Gene Roddenberry is not a government spy, nor does he work for the government.
But he used to.
No, when I got in this evening, I just checked my emails, and there were literally hundreds. A lot of them fairly irrelevant. There's this sandwiches one I keep getting. Timothy O has emailed, I am emailing you in response to your Star Trek show in which you said Gene Roddenberry was an agent of the Klan. No, I didn't. No, I did not, mister. I said that Gene Roddenberry almost certainly had dealings with the CIA, and that somebody needs to explain to me why there are so many Ks in Star Trek, and why some of the characters are named after things that the Ku Klux Klan hold dear. That's all I'm asking. Explain it to me. He said, if you were still accepting calls, I would volunteer my number and defeat you in your boots, you miserable little ass. You make me sick. Okay, if you're still listening then, Tim Ordover, email me your telephone number and we'll call you and we'll have an argument. I don't mind. Captain G. Rutherford, downloading via the internet your show on Star Trek broadcast 18th of December, I find you an absolutely despicable little man with incredibly inept viewpoints and even more questionable theories which you cannot substantiate. Your stance on the colour of Romulan skin is incorrect. I would give you my cell number, but I'll probably reduce you to tears once I finish with you. Do you see what these Star Trek folk are like?
I know.
And they're all cowards, because none of them want to give out their mobile phone. I mean, what would they be like? and an 8-foot lizard monster coming down at them. You wouldn't want them on your...
Why did they all say despicable little man as well? Why does no one ever say despicable big man?
I know. They don't realise how big I am.
I've got no idea.
I'm not huge. But I've never met anybody I wouldn't fancy my chances with.
No, but regardless of your size, no one ever uses that as a derogatory term. No one ever says, oh, you big man. Why do they go, oh, you horrible little man? Never say, oh, you horrible big man, you.
Yeah, no, they wouldn't. They couldn't possibly do that. Oh, you horrible, towering 7-foot, 28-stone giant.
Yeah,
you.
it's always you horrible little man, you.
Yeah. Anyway, Captain G. Rutherford. It's a silly address. First Officer Kathleen Thomas, Engineer Stephen P. Riley, USFS Frank... I don't know.
Anyone who sends an email calling themselves First Officer, whoever, if they are not a First Officer, which I'm guessing these people aren't, it's sad.
Tim Ordover claims that he has emailed his telephone number. No, he doesn't. He says, I will not supply my phone number for your amusement, not because I am afraid about losing, but you'll probably twist it so that you can win, and I will end up all tongue-tied, because you've thrown some information at me I can't defend. We all know what you are like. Yeah, I'm good. And I'm not a little wimp, Timothy. Little Tim Ordover. Wimpy, come on, bring it on, mate. It's no good hide... oh, crikey.
Call us, Timmy, 08459 570057. I'll protect you, Timmy.
Not a chance. This is a quick word with an email from Gabrielle Rutherford, who has... Oh, this is Captain G. Rutherford. Facts that you get the Star Trek thing. I won't dwell on it, because if people don't care about Star Trek, they really don't care about this at all. But I have put a bit of a bat up the nightie of the people who like Star Trek.
Does Captain Kirk wear a nightie?
I can see that.
They wear night clothes when they're on the
You never saw them getting up. You never saw them getting up or going to bed or having a poo or anything.
Oh, really? See, I never watched it, so I don't know.
And they never had a fag as well.
Really?
The people who made the programme originally, you know my possible link between Star Trek and this, it's rubbish, but the possibility that Star Trek was actually funded by the Philip Morris agency, who make Marlboro cigarettes, who are alleged to have the letters KKK on every packet of Marlboro. This is all nonsensical.
Absolute nonsense.
I say that, I have to cover myself. But they may have put some money into the early Star Treks, because apparently somebody wanted all the crew on the Starship Enterprise to be smokers.
You can see Captain Kirk there. Fag bar me.
Anybody
got a light, Sulu?
Anybody got some lights? And so this is what they came up with, according to one document that I read. The people who wanted them to all smoke said, "What? How exciting! What do you think cigarettes would be like in the 22nd century?"
No.
Oh, yeah. And they had two ideas, right? One, how about this? They're square. I don't know why.
No, I don't know either.
This, though, would work, okay? How about this? Okay? They smoke cigarettes on the bridge of the Enterprise, and they're self-igniting. put them in your lipstick. They start. But can you just see him stubbing one out and going,
this thing isn't going out.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't work.
That phases us to Stun study. 08459 570057. Captain Rutherford has emailed, facts you cannot dispute. To say that it was a lie that Nichelle Nichols and William Shatner never kissed is desperate. I think both Nichols and Shatner would have something to say to you about that. Yes. Apparently, mate, William Shatner said in his autobiography, that the kiss never actually took place. You don't know what it's all about, do you, Alison?
I do remember. I'm just so bored that I've switched off.
I know,
Sorry.
me too, but I just want to get somebody back, because he's trying.
I know.
And he doesn't know what he's talking about.
No.
Go to the various websites.
Can you call them captain when you refer to them? I think that's the correct terminology.
Captain. Go to the websites. Go to BBC Southern Counties Radio. Log on to, I don't know if the debates are going on there. There's a website, Tommy Boyd Shrine, I think it's called, yes. That's the one that's doing it in the best detail. Mate, go there, learn, and then either shut up or come back and say, I'm sorry, I didn't realise that. This guy also goes on, Gene Roddenberry had nothing to do with the KKK. No, I didn't say he did. I didn't say he did. Although he would undoubtedly have met plenty of people who were in the KKK, because there were so many people in the KKK, 8 million members that the Ku Klux Klan had. A couple of emails quickly. Gabrielle Rutherford, Captain First Engineer Stephen Riley.
No.
I know you're sick of the Star Trek debate. You started it, so I'll end with this. Just for information, William Shatner is the least popular cast member of the series, and anything he says should be taken with a pinch of salt. What a load of old nonsense. Super. Gary Hindle has emailed the show. Dear sir, I was going to email you about Star Trek, but listening on the World Wide Web, I want to tell you about the rainforests. They are our lifeblood, man. Ha ha! They're not. They give out oxygen which we need. They do, but not a lot. It's mostly from the sea. How can you argument about that? As the Brits say, you're a wanker. Who's this? General Marthol... some guy in America. Yeah, you keep listening, mate. You ain't got no radio out there. It's a load of old rubbish. Tosh. Okay, anybody there? Good evening. You're on Southern Counties Radio.
Hello, Tommy.
Hello, who's this?
Martin from Middle-Hampton.
Welcome, Martin.
I'm phoning you for two reasons.
Okay.
One is because I'm a glutton for punishment.
Yep.
And the second one is you mentioned golf courses and golf.
Marvellous game.
Okay. Firstly, we've got a few golf courses around Worthing, Littlehampton you're no doubt aware of.
I'm aware of a lot of them, yeah.
Yeah. Now, a tenuous link, but you may be aware that there's a bypass going around the village of Angmering near Littlehampton.
I fall asleep very quickly during conversations about bypasses.
Okay, obviously try and drink some more coffee, and you should have paid attention at school. You would have got used to it then.
I'll stick to the Cabernet Sauvignon. Good night.
That's all right.
Carry on.
Right.
Yeah.
Amusingly, we call the bypass at Angmering locally the diversion, because the bypass actually takes longer to get round Angmering than it does to go straight through it. Now, local theory is that the bypass should have been put through on the western side of Angmering, but didn't get put through there because of the golf course, i.e. Ham Manor. So what I'd like to discuss is, do local Littlehampton people and the Angmering people feel that the planners were afraid of actually purchasing the land compulsorily off Ham Manor golf course?
It doesn't matter, man. Move on.
Well, have you tried driving around there? What about the poor people of Angmering that had to have people driving through it?
There are worse things than
to take the shortcut.
There are worse.
Ask the Angmering people that have phoned you up, and they'll tell you there's not worse things.
No, they're not. Not everybody in Angmering's is anywhere near as small-minded as that. Come on, just leave.
When they were selling their houses, they're trying to sell their houses now because they didn't get the bypass they wanted.
Leave for work 10 minutes earlier, mate, and then you won't be delayed.
I'll walk to work.
Well, what's your problem then?
That's not a problem.
What's it got to do with you? It's got nothing to do with you.
Oh, it has.
You're poking your nose in where it doesn't belong. Now, come on, Martin.
An example that golf courses rule the world. Yeah?
Well, I'd rather Tiger Woods rule the world than you. I mean, what would your world be like if you ran the world then? What would be the first thing you do tomorrow, right? Wake up and it's all right across planet Earth.
People.
Martin in Littlehampton is now king of planet Earth. So what's the first thing you're going to do then?
get Tommy Boyds some manners and get you to pay attention at school a bit more to teach you some rules now, wouldn't
There,
it?
so you haven't got a single creative idea of your own, have you, Martin?
Well,
Eh?
I think quite a few people find that creative.
Well, let's hear your idea then. Come on, man. You say that golf clubs rule the world. I know you're exaggerating because your point wouldn't be interesting if you didn't exaggerate a little bit. Something. It's still not very interesting, but anyway, bypasses. I really do need a big shot of adrenaline, you know, and it needs to be lamb's adrenaline because that's good stuff. I don't know if you've ever seen it in the doctor's
Tell you one thing you
bag.
don't need, Johnny.
Keep me lied. My name's Tommy, by the way, and I haven't forgotten your name, Keith. So.
I wasn't bothered about. I don't think your name's consequential. Really. One thing you need is a lot less hyperbole.
It's not pronounced
You're the king of
hyperbole.
exaggeration, aren't you?
It's not pronounced hyperbole.
Oh, isn't it now?
No, it's not. I've checked on this. Just like it's not a buffet, it's a buffet. No, it is. It's a buffet on the train. I bet you still say buffet, don't you?
It depends on which school you very rarely attended, doesn't
Hyperbole.
it? It depends on which school you very rarely attended. Because you obviously didn't.
What are
did
the
you?
roots of the word hyperbole then?
What does that matter?
Yes, you used the word, mate.
Well,
don't know what it means, do you?
Is that what you're asking me?
No, I'm not. I asked you what the roots were.
Is that really? What's the consequence of that?
Find out whether you're
Let's not digress here. You asked me what I'd like to do about golf courses.
No, excuse me. We're not digressing.
No, I won't excuse you. I won't excuse you. You've gone off at a tangent.
No, you went off at a tangent by using a word you didn't know what the root was.
Does that matter?
Yes, otherwise you shouldn't use the word if you don't know what it means.
Of course I know what it means.
What's its root then? What's the root of the word hyperbole?
Do you mean the meaning of it?
No, I mean the roots of it.
Well,
Is
you
it
tell
Latin
me-
or Greek? Is it Latin or Greek?
Oh dear, does it really matter?
Yeah, well, you shouldn't use the word then if you don't know what it means.
It's part of the English language, is it not?
No, it's Greek.
Is it not an English language?
It's Greek.
It may be Greek to you, as everything obviously is.
It's Greek, and you didn't know that. Now
Who says I didn't know that? I just didn't want to bother
you
saying
didn't
what
know that.
the game.
What are the roots of the word hyperbole?
I don't want to tell you. I don't bother.
All right, what's the text dictionary definition of the word hyperbole then?
It's exaggeration.
No, it isn't.
It is.
No, it isn't. Go and get a dictionary now and bring it to the radio and read it out.
Does a dictionary really matter to you?
Have you got one in the house?
I'm not in the house.
Where are you?
That's none of your business.
Well, is there a dictionary there?
No, I haven't got a dictionary here, no.
Why not?
Look, Tommy, the fact is that it's inconsequential what I meant by hyperbole. People know it means exaggeration.
Listen, pal, if you're going to come... Listen to me. No, just listen to me. If you want to get personal, forget it, because you're dealing with a god of getting personal.
What a hypocrite.
No, actually, hypocrisy is not what I'm talking about at the moment.
That's what you're doing, though. That's what you were doing to me a short while ago.
Why is that hypocritical?
You're getting personal with me.
Yeah, no, what did I say to you that was personal?
All this bit about, get a life, man, what would you do if you ruled the world, all that sort of thing.
That wasn't personal.
Yeah? Oh, wasn't it?
You said...
You make this up as you go along, don't you?
Obviously.
Yeah.
Did you just spot that? Or are you on page 37 then, eh? Down at the bottom then, your line comes in and says...
Your creativity is all about basically just coming out with a load of insulting provocation at people, isn't it?
You started it. You started it.
Oh, here we are.
You started it. You started it because here you are. You think you've got a point to make about a goddamn bypass. Middle of a Saturday evening, light entertainment, phone-in show. Man rings up from Middle-Hampton, wants to talk about the bypass. For goodness sake, I said it before, I'll say it again. To you. And if you take it personally, fine.
A diatribe, Tommy. It's a diatribe.
Get a life.
It's contradiction. It's argument and a diatribe.
Get a life.
Well, I'll make the point if you'll let me.
No, I don't want you to make the point, because I have a very strong suspicion that it will be tedious.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
But you're a hypocrite again.
Go on then.
Again.
Go on then, make your point.
The point is...
Make your point, and you tell me... tell me after you've made your point...
Tommy, can you stop interrupting me?
No.
You stop interrupting me, Tommy.
No, I won't. No, I won't.
I'll talk over you now. The planners...
No, you don't talk over me, because if I want to, I can do that. So go ahead, you talk over me then. No. Right. No, we didn't hear a word of that because I faded you down. The point I want to make is this: you make your point.
You're going to fade me down, Tommy.
Yeah, you make your point.
You're very rude.
You make your point about the planners, provided.
You faded me down. No, I'm not going to be faded down twice, Tommy.
Here's the deal.
If you're going to fade your listeners
here's
down,
the deal.
you're going to get any.
Here's the deal. You make your point about the bypass, and then afterwards, tell me on a scale of 1 to 10 how boring it was.
Tommy, I'm not going to bother because you're going to fade me down.
Off you go.
All right, no, I'm not going to be faded down again. We'll have a boycott of you, and we'll all go off here.
Who's we? You and the cat?
Tommy, that you mustn't assume these things again. Other listeners, the other listeners.
What do you know about listeners? What do you do?
What do I do? It's not your business. I know a lot more. What do you do, Tommy?
I'm a bloody broadcaster, you idiot. Isn't that obvious?
Don't flatter yourself.
Well, what do you think I'm doing? Sat here in front of a microphone. You ask me what I do? I'm a broadcaster.
That's as much of a broadcaster as you are. You happen to have a microphone and a large mouth. Obviously.
Well, do you know what? I can't think of two other more necessary credentials. Can you? He's gone. Fantastic. No, I'm sorry, but there was a time and a place to talk about the bypass. I really don't think that on a Saturday night at 10 o'clock on New Year's Day, what is it with some people who think that the bypass is just the be-all and end-all? And once they got the bit between their teeth, you know, once they got the taste of it, the kind of pious, the bypass must be built, the bypass must not be built, then all else goes out the window. Anyway, Martin, next time you want to talk about the bypass, phone somebody else on a Saturday night. There's a good lad. Diane Pierce has emailed to say, let me tell you that Tommy Boyd has been the most offensive tonight than any other night. That's not true. People have views, and to ridicule them for them is bloody terrible. Everyone is entitled to an opinion. No! Everyone is not entitled to an opinion, woman! Everyone is not entitled to express an opinion. Which is what you mean. Everybody is not entitled to express an opinion. We've been through this before. If you want to express an opinion, you have to be sure of your facts, and you have to research them yourself. You have to show that you have the necessary grey matter to apportion weight and merit to the points that you consider to be important. And when you've done that, and you've formed some kind of an opinion, and this is the crucial bit, you have to be certain that in expressing it you're going to do more good than harm. So Diane Pierce, no, everyone is not entitled to express an opinion. She says everyone is. Everybody. What a load of old rubbish. A few weeks ago I was called appalling for asking for respect about the Matthew Kelly situation. Why? Because Tommy is a celebrity pal of his. I don't understand your point, Diane. If you are the caller or the emailer that I think you are, you're somebody who made illegal accusations or insinuations, to be precise, about somebody who has done nothing wrong. Simple as that. You really do need to get your act sorted, Diane Pierce. You really, really do. There's a lot of work to be done. Now, Diane Pierce has emailed back. She's had an hour and a half to think about this, because she said that everyone's entitled to their opinion. I assume by that she means everyone's entitled to express an opinion.
Yeah.
If she means everyone's entitled to an opinion, she might have a point, but I don't think that's what she means.
No.
She says, you prat, you bloody prat. Everyone is entitled to an opinion. You cannot dictate opinions to people. Quite right. We are born with them. We are born.
We're not born with. Who was ever born with an opinion? Mr. and Mrs. Boyd. Here's little Jimmy, and he's got 5 opinions. We are 2 legs.
You cannot dictate opinions to people. She says, we are born with them.
Please.
We gather them through our experience.
We're not
we have a
born
right
with them,
to express them. No one can take that away from anyone. Not your snotty self, for sure. Yours, Diane Pierce. Well, what a glum piece of communication that is, Diane, with nothing there that's worth actually dwelling on, apart from the notion that you think we're born with opinions. Well, Mussolini might have been, and Alf Garnett probably was. You know, those sorts of people were probably born stuck with a bunch of dreadful prejudices, perhaps.
They weren't born with them.
But you don't get born with opinions.
No, you're not in the maternity ward and you say, oh, Mrs. Ferns, look, you have a lovely baby girl. She says she's conservative. That doesn't happen.
No, that never will ever happen again, because of the way the party's going.
they'll be there, won't they? They'll be there in the old
Not
scans.
even if Michael Howard manages to produce, do I think that
the old
anybody's ever going to be born
class.
with that opinion again, the way things are looking for them at present. But we'll come round to politics another time. Diane Pierce has come back again. This is the woman who sends really sort of quite angry emails. It's nice sending emails because you can be ruder than you like.
Yeah.
And you think it doesn't hurt. So, shall I read out her email?
Is it rude? Really rude?
No.
Okay.
She's the woman who thinks that we are entitled to express our opinions, no matter what they are, because we deserve to be able to say them. And she thinks that we're born with opinions. And here's her proof.
Oh, I'm intrigued now.
Got you interested?
Yeah.
She says, how do you explain, I'm only doing the voice not to denigrate her, just to give it a bit of character. How do you
Just like Eurotrash.
Yeah. Diane Pearce. How do you explain that we like and do not like certain types of baby food? Because we are of the opinion that certain foods are nice and others are not. That is subjective, just like an opinion. Idiot! You idiot! I quote in full. But
Nothing to do with taste buds.
it's not an opinion, is it?
Oh, no, obviously nothing to do with taste
If
buds.
a baby spits out some, I don't know, pureed rice and lamb, it's not
It's
an
not
opinion.
an opinion, a formed opinion.
It's a gut reaction.
Of course it is.
Idiot, Diane. Idiot yourself. Idiot with brass knobs on. You really are not very clever, Diane, in my opinion.
That was Brian from Sutton, just phoning to say hello.
Hello.
He asked for a request of a song, but we're not
What
doing
does he
requests at the moment.
No, definitely not.
No,
What did he
but
want?
later on.
What did he want? Did he say? Just anything? I can never understand that. Could you play anything for me, for my wife? What did he want?
He wanted a song
Yeah.
for the people in his area who have survived the tsunami.
How does that all work then, for anything? What's the end result of that? I'm not with you, Brian.
That's what he asked
And
for.
why not? Why just people in your area?
Well, I don't think he just meant his area, but that's what he said, but I'm sure he means people on a wider scale.
People from the Southern Counties region who have survived the tsunami.
I'm sure he just means people everywhere who have survived and who haven't survived.
Well, we've got Unbreak My Heart by Tony Braxton first. So we'll dedicate that to whoever it is that Brian wants a record dedicated for. Okay. Okay.
Hello.
Good evening, BBC Southern Counties Radio. You're on the air. Hello.
Oh, hello, Tommy. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Who's this?
And to Allison.
Happy
Mary.
New Year.
My
Thank
name-
you, Mary. Is that Mary from Winchester?
No, but I'm not from East Grinstead either. Now, in view of the dire effects of the Asian tsunami, I believe the demolition of all rainforests should cease immediately. Recently, I saw a TV program where rainforests were being cut down in an eastern country, which, if I recall correctly, was Indonesia. I might be wrong. Perhaps
I don't know anything about... I don't know any link between the
No.
earthquake, which was responsible for the tsunami,
That's right.
and the deforestation of rainforests in Indonesia. What's the
Well,
connection?
I asked a friend who studies geology, and he said that cutting down the rainforests causes soil erosion, which leads to millions of tons of extra sediment being deposited in the sea. That may build up pressure, which might exacerbate earthquakes. In other words, it might bring them forward.
I can't
and
see
increase
this.
them.
I can't see this.
Yes, but you're not a geologist, are you?
No, but I'm not an idiot either, and I
No.
can't see how cutting down trees causes earthquakes.
Can't
the
you?
earthquake, no. The earthquake was caused.
I know what it was caused by.
What was it
It's
caused
been
by?
on the television enough. Well, about fault lines and things
Yes.
like that, and
No.
volcanic eruptions under the sea. We've heard all that, but I have another idea about it, and
No,
I'm
but you
quite
can't-
sure
you
many
can't-
other people do, but they probably.
No,
You know,
look, you
haven't done the
can't.
research.
Look, I haven't done the research.
Well,
you can't bump into somebody who says he's a geologist. You can't.
I'm not.
Hang on,
talking
wait
about it. Right.
wait a minute.
Yep.
You can't go round frightening the horses about the rainforests on the basis of what you've got. Because you must remember, this is such an important point. You know, it's like what I call the John Craven's news round syndrome, whereby we constantly tell the children that the planet Earth is in dire straits. It's not. It's fine.
You think so?
I know it for a fact, mate. It's better than it's ever been.
You're
It's in better
living
hands.
in cloud cuckoo land, mate.
You're living in the... You are living under a black cloud, mate.
Yes.
Yes.
Because there is a black cloud, and if we're not
we've
careful,
got
it's going to come to England and wipe off the whole of the south coast, which is forecast by
Hark at you. All this doom and gloom.
Yep.
And it's all rubbish.
We've got to be realistic and look at the causes. We know that the causes are natural, but we are exacerbating them.
Do you know what? Coming on the radio, you should be ashamed of yourself. Coming on the radio saying that people cutting down trees in Indonesia has, as a consequence, the worst disaster in human history?
We're not saying it's as a consequence. We're saying it may have led towards this disaster.
Well, that, if I may say so, is heinous.
Right.
Heinous.
Well, you can think that if you like.
Oh, no, I'm not telling you that that's what I think. I'm telling you that's what it is. It is heinous. To speculate... Will you listen? And stop inhaling.
What do you think is
you're not listening.
Change?
You are not listening. Listen.
Are you?
Listen properly. Thank you. I'm asking you not to inhale and start a sentence during the second word of any sentence that I try to communicate with you. Okay? Have you got that?
I think so.
Is that a deal?
Yeah.
Can you do that? Because I can do that.
Yeah, go on then.
It's not difficult.
No, I'm sure it's not. Go on. And what are you going to say?
I'm going to say this. Planet Earth has just experienced the worst natural disaster in its history. We just need to...
Correct.
Yes. We just need to stay there.
Yeah.
We can go looking for causes if that's what people want to do. But this is an act of God. It's a natural occurrence.
Mm-hmm. And we
I haven't finished.
Okay.
You're desperate to get in, aren't you? Because you're not really...
Because you think
you're not really taking it on board, are you? No, you're not. I'm beginning to wonder about your listening skills. Whether you actually listen to this person. What were the qualifications of this person who said they were a geologist?
Well, actually, he's retired. I didn't say he was a geologist. I said he is studying geology, but he's a retired osteopath and naturopath.
Oh, for God's sake, you're bringing warnings to the world about natural disasters and their possible causes from a retired osteopath?
He studies geology.
He's a retired osteopath.
So what?
Well, why didn't you say he was a retired osteopath? Who the hell listens to it? Because I'll tell you what you do then, mate, all right? Next time your back's got a spasm, go see a geologist.
Oh, right. I might do. I might find a geologist who's also a naturopath.
Gotta go. There's something about some people that means that as soon as something like this happens, rather than are you still there?
Yeah.
How much have you sent then? If I may ask, how much have you sent so far to the disaster appeal?
I'm not telling you.
Okay, fine, don't. That would be more to the point. Don't you think that would be more to the point?
No, because I think it's action on the ground that's needed. We need people to go out there in helicopters or whatever to deal with all the situations that are still being undealt with. And the money is all being thrown at it. Yes, that's very good.
Thrown at it? What do you mean, thrown at it?
The money is all coming in.
What do you mean it's being thrown at it?
But when are they going to get the action on the ground?
Well, you don't know what that means.
Of course I do.
What does it mean?
Well, I've seen it on the television.
Your life is lived through the television and retired osteopaths. Do you really think...
And people like Tommy Boyds.
Now go on, dear. Go on, dear.
Tommy.
Put the Dracula teeth in and give it a good old shake. Go on, dear. You want to, really, don't you?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well, all I will say is that if 2005 sees itself out and I don't hear anything more ridiculous than the idea that a retired osteopath believes that cutting down the rainforest is responsible for the worst natural disaster in human history, if I don't hear anything more ridiculous than that, I will not be at all surprised.
He didn't actually say that. He just gave me some information which I asked for.
Which was what?
Which was, is any effect in cutting down the rainforest upon the earthquakes and all the disasters which have been taking place over the past years.
Well, there are millions of them. Name me another one.
There have been quite enough of them.
I'll just take the one of them.
We're going to... don't worry about that. We're going to...
I do worry about you. I do worry about people like you who think that every 20 minutes there's a natural disaster and somebody's responsible for it. You can't name me one other natural disaster, and yet you said that they've been coming thick and fast down the last years. Name me one more.
You should know them.
I do, but you don't.
Place in America, in the United States, California, everywhere.
This is cloud cuckoo stuff.
Yes, you're in cloud cuckoo land, mate.
I know what's what. I know which way's up and which way's down.
The Earth and the Amazon rainforest and all the other rainforests.
Have you ever been to the Amazon rainforest?
Not myself.
Well, I have.
Members of my family have.
Well, I have. What did they tell you about it?
They didn't tell me anything. I just get my information from other sources.
From the retired osteopaths on the television?
The information is in the public domain.
What does that
mean?
It's
been on television enough times.
Where is this public domain? You make it sound like something from the
I've seen plenty of documentaries.
Alan Fournier, the public domain.
I've seen plenty of documentaries.
Do you know how public?
Do you know how public in the Amazon rainforest?
You just watched too many editions of John Craven's Newsround. Let me tell you what the public domain is. The public domain is such that only today were we allowed to know.
Yes, I know.
That a patient with a history of mental illness tried to kidnap the Princess Royal in 1974, and she told him to naff off, I haven't got 2 million quid. And shush. I want to ask you, who has faith in the public domain, why it has taken us 30 years to learn that. That's the question I'm asking you, and nothing else.
Well, one of the things is the Data Protection Act.
And therefore you trust the public domain?
I don't say I trust it. I'm saying that there have been documentaries on television about the effects of cutting down rainforests, and it's common knowledge.
I am all for cutting down the rainforests.
Why?
They are a complete waste of space.
You are an antichrist.
Beautiful. I think we'll leave it there.
Please do. I was just banging my head against the desk. I can't carry it.
Oh, baby.
I can't carry it.
We've got calls flashing in. What shall I do?
Well, we'll answer the calls in a minute, but can I just say, first of all, because I've been dying to say it.
Yes.
What is she on about when she says, don't give money, they need people on the ground?
Yeah.
Where does she think those people come from?
Yeah.
Does she not think that by giving money you help that in some way? But she's on their telly, and the osteopath told her it'd be okay, so that's all right. I find it so annoying. I'm sorry, and I won't get stressed, but I find it very difficult not to.
I hope, right, that our other halves are not listening to this show so that we can tell them about that call in the morning.
Yes, I don't believe it happened.
My wife says, do you get any interesting calls? And I say, yeah. A woman came on who was convinced that the awful occurrence on Boxing Day,
she's not alone, though, and I have to say this, she's not alone. I have had this conversation with people, and some people's natural reaction is to try and find somebody to blame.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
I did not say that people should not give money. I said it was very laudable and it was very worthwhile.
Are you the woman who just called me the Antichrist?
Yes, I
Well, how often do you phone the Antichrist?
I've never spoken to the Antichrist.
Well, I think you ought to put me on your family favourites, then, dear. Give a man a geologist, and this is an email from E2000. It says, give a man a geologist and he'll avert a natural disaster, but give a man a retired osteopath and he'll screw us out of everything. I don't get that, but I think I know what you're driving at. And another email from E2000. Give a retired osteopath a fish and he'll feed himself for a day. Give a retired osteopath a boat and he'll replant the wood to avert an earthquake. We had a very heated call from a lady earlier on who wanted to, in my view, frighten the horses by saying that the appalling, tragic earthquake and its consequences for Sri Lanka, India, Indonesia, may have been caused by people cutting down trees in Indonesia. And she got this, she said, from somebody who was a geologist. I thought she said. In fact, she then said, no, actually, it's somebody who has studied geology. In fact, he's a retired osteopath. And my own particular opinion was, A, it's just wrong at this moment in time to start looking for petty culprits for something which is such an obviously natural, whatever that means, disaster. But it is certainly wrong to go knocking around ideas that almost certainly have nothing to do with something as unthinkable as what's happened in that part of the world, that have been spat out socially by a retired osteopath. And so I had a pop at her. Anyway, she's going to complain. The late Allison, the lady who, as I understand it...
I've just had somebody on the phone who wants me to make a formal public apology.
Well, what is this?
For my thoughts earlier on the caller you've just spoken about.
Rise that, Ben. What have you said that's wrong?
Apparently I said that the woman was wrong to say that if you remember, the woman said, you asked her what she'd sent money-wise, and she said, it's not about people sending money, they need people on the ground. And I said that the money you send will help those people on the ground. That was wrong of me to do that.
Well, why don't these people have the balls to come to air and say it? Why was this a man or a woman?
It was a woman. Apparently, I've upset the woman who was on air going to bed by my comment.
I get cross sometimes.
And also very upset about the fact that you said that the rainforests weren't to blame. Because everyone so wants to have something to blame.
No, everybody wants me to get into trouble. No, not everybody. A small percentage of people who listen to a program like this. Yeah, they want you to get into trouble,
yeah.
It would feed their desire for the world to be the kind of place that would give them a certain amount of comfort. And what is that world? That world is one of unfairness. That world is one of closed thoughts, closed minds, closed eyes, closed ears. That world is one of simple solutions whereby it's somebody else's fault. And somebody else must suffer because it's their fault. And I am so opposed to that cruel and simplistic vision of the solution of what actually isn't a problem, because an earthquake is not a solvable problem. An earthquake is nobody's fault.
It's a natural disaster, and it's tragic, and it's a natural disaster. And people phoning up trying to blame other people.
No, they're trying to find a human being whose fault it was.
I know.
You know, it would be going too far for me to say how sad and angry that makes me.
I can't so even... Well, you can see it in me.
Yeah, I know.
I can't even discuss it because I'm so upset by it.
Are you finding this kind of radio, and I know you've done a lot of it, but do you continue to find it, as I do, illuminating?
I find it illuminating. I actually find it very upsetting as well.
Oh, don't.
Well, I do in a way, because I just feel, and I'm being very honest now, more honest than I should be, but, like everyone listening, I have watched the news over the last few days, and I've been really moved by what I've seen. You know, I really have been. And I cannot understand the people I am now talking to on this switchboard. And it does upset me. Yeah, it really upsets me.
Hello?
Hello, who's this?
A caller.
Hello, caller, what's your name?
Oh, hi, Tommy. Everyone knows the tsunami was a natural disaster. No one has said otherwise.
No, you haven't been listening, have you?
Yes, I have. But I don't think you have, because you've twisted the words that the lady said.
No, I haven't at all.
Yes, you have.
No, I haven't.
She didn't say that it was other than a natural disaster.
Now, what's your name?
I'm not telling you.
No, you've got to go then if you're not going.
But I'll tell you something.
No, you're going to go unless you tell me your name now.
All right, Mary.
Right, are you another Mary? Yes. We've got lots of Marys tonight.
Now, Ruche is spelled R-U-C-H-E, and kerfuffle is in the dictionary.
Stick to the point. Let me ask you a question. How good are you at having conversations?
It depends who I'm conversing with.
Well, you decided you want to talk to me. Are you any good at it?
I wouldn't say yay or nay.
Well, then I'll make the judgment,
shall I? Not for me to say.
Right.
Oh, I'm sure you will.
Yeah. Well, it just involves listening and then rejoining to what you've heard.
And not twisting people's words.
Now, the caller who called wanted to find somebody to blame for the scale of the disaster of the tsunami. And I find that reprehensible at this moment in time. Reprehensible.
They weren't blaming anyone.
You're lying.
They were saying it was...
No, you're lying. You're lying because you want me to be wrong. Not because you want the truth, but because you would prefer for me to be wrong. The caller said that she had been told by somebody who knew something about geology that the impact of the tsunami might have been greater because people had been cutting down trees in Indonesia.
That's exactly it.
Yes, and that's reprehensible.
Is it?
Yes.
Well, how do you know otherwise?
Because I'm a broadcaster, and I'm a journalist, and I'm a man.
Well, how do you... Oh, God, that says a lot, doesn't it?
Get to your point. Make your point. Make your point. Make it as well as I've made my point.
Well, I think you've just twisted the person's words. You've twisted that lady's words. She never said that the tsunami wasn't a natural disaster.
What was she trying to do with her point?
She was just trying to say that things that we do to the earth can exacerbate these things, possibly.
So what's her point?
Well, that's her point, that rainforests
What's her point about the tsunami?
But the rainforest...
What's her point about the tsunami?
Cutting down should cease immediately.
Is she saying that the disaster was made worse by people cutting down trees?
It could well be. And who are you to say that it wasn't?
I'll tell you who am I to say that it wasn't. At this moment in time, there is so much humanity involved in this terrible disaster that to go around flicking out petty little bits of blame based on what's a retired osteopath speculated is
reprehensible. I'll just stick with that word because I could be so much more honest, but I won't, because my thoughts, as yours should be and hers should be, are still with the victims of this terrible disaster, so much so that the notion of going and hunting for some kind of perpetrator is reprehensible. I'm not going to go further.
Good.
That's my view.
Well, I think
But you would be more interested in finding out that I was wrong.
Not at all.
Absolutely.
Not at all.
Totally.
Who cares if you're right or wrong?
You do.
I only care about what's happening to the Earth at the moment. We are destroying our Earth.
I'm not. You might be. You can use your personal plural if you want to. I don't. I'm not. You might be.
You are when you say that it's quite all right to cut down the rainforests.
I don't have a problem with it.
No.
No.
You wouldn't, would you?
No.
Anyway,
maybe I haven't watched John Craven's Newsround as much as you have.
You do have a problem with your spelling.
You ever been to the rainforests?
You've asked that before.
What have you been on before?
People. I have not been to the rainforest.
Fine, I have. What do you want to know about them? What do you want to know about them?
I think I know quite enough to know that
from John Craven's Newsround,
cutting down the rainforest is detrimental both to our climate and our environment. And that's all I have to say.
Well, you don't know too much about your subject, and I don't want you to be frightened. I wish you weren't frightened, and I feel terrible that the business that I'm in... you are.
No.
Yes, you are.
I'm not.
Well, you should be. If what you're saying is true...
From now on, if we start looking
Wait a minute, wait a minute.
Things might change for the better.
If what you believe is true, you should be frightened. What are you, then?
I'm not frightened.
Well, what are you?
I'm just a person, an ordinary person.
No, I mean, what emotion do you get from what you believe to be the truth?
I get anger.
Okay, don't be angry.
From the fact that people are cutting down the rainforest.
Don't be angry. Because you get your information from the business that I work in, and 99% of it is rubbish.
Well...
And I know that because I've been to the rainforests, and I've worked for 30 years in broadcasting and the media.
And okay? you think that...
I know where you've been getting...
the rainforest has no effect on our climate.
You've been getting your information from people I know.
People who know the facts. Okay.
Do you think that's what broadcasters and journalists are? People who know the facts?
Some are.
Who?
They vary, don't they?
Which ones? How do you know which ones to trust?
It's pretty obvious.
How does that work?
Most of the time.
Go on, tell me. Give me a bit more on that.
No, I'm not going to go any further.
Because you can't, can you?
Because I'm not going off the
Shall I tell you who you tend to believe? You tend to believe the doom-mongerers.
Well, I think we all ought to give them some heed.
Just because they're doom-mongerers?
Yes, certainly, if it's the truth.
Supposing that they're just pandering to what you have declared you want to hear or read.
Why should they?
Because that makes
pander?
Why? Why do you think? Why should they give you what you want? Why should a media outlet give you, the listener, the reader, the viewer, what you want? Why should they do that?
Part of the media is engaged in telling the truth.
Which one?
Oh, I'm not going to tell you. You should know. You're a journalist. You know more than I do.
I certainly
about
do.
The media.
But you're the one who's telling me about the media. You're the one who's telling me about your powers of discernment. You're the one who's telling me you know who to trust.
Yes,
tell me.
I do.
Who?
The people who speak the truth.
And how do you know which ones are they?
It's pretty obvious.
You've already said that, but give me more.
No.
Why?
Because you should know.
Because you can't.
You should know.
You can't. I do, but I could tell you.
Well, I can't list them all off name by name.
You couldn't list one.
I'm not going to cause any disruption on the radio.
You can't,
by naming names.
You can't.
No.
You can't. You can't.
Well, because there aren't many of them, frankly, but there are one or two who speak the truth.
You don't know who they are. You believe that somebody who's saying something that fits your picture of the world is telling the truth.
If documentaries are put on the television about the Amazon rainforest, from people who are actually there on the ground talking to the tribes whose lives have been ruined by what's going on, then I think we can believe them. And that's all I have to say. Good night.
Good night, darling. Good night. Well, I think that goes for all of us, because I tend to believe people who are saying things that fit my picture of the world. But I'm aware of that. She's not. That's the difference. Big difference. Big boogie difference.
Don't forget to subscribe and like. Comment too if you wish. Even slap your legs and make a purchase from Ann Summers. But don't do nothing.